If the school cafeteria was our weekday battleground, the corner candy shop was our Saturday church. You'd push open that creaky door, bell ringing, pockets full of coins, and there it was, a wall of jars glowing like church windows, bright yellows, red raspberries, deep purple violets. Behind the counter stood the shop owner with his metal scoop and the patience of a saint. 10 cents worth of mixed candy, please. A nod, the rustle of a paper bag, the sound of candy hitting glass, and the ceremony started. We'll start with the forever enemies. Fruit salad, chews, and blackjacks. Same little waxy wrappers, same chewy rectangles, but totally different once you bit down. Fruit salad was bright and cheerful, raspberry pineapple sweetness that stuck to your teeth and left you smiling through the pain. Blackjacks were the grumpy cousin, strong licorice flavor, almost made your mouth numb, and if you ate too many, your tongue turned purple and your teeth looked black as coal. Every playground was split. Were you team fruit salad or team blackjack? Did you trade one for the other, or just stuff both in your mouth and show off your stained tongue at recess? Refreshers were the smart ones, and even here there were two groups. The chewy bar with the fizzy center that bubbled when you got to the middle, and the hard colorful tablets that cracked with a sharp snap, tingling on your tongue. Either way, sugar hit first, fireworks came after. Kids broke off pieces and dared each other to keep a straight face when the fizz started. The sound of teeth crunching down, quiet laughs, the fizz making your cheeks scrunch up. They were best eaten in class when you weren't supposed to be eating. The crack of the candy against your teeth louder than you wanted it to be. For something softer, there were love hearts, little chalky circles with messages printed on them. Be mine. Hot lips, call me. Half the time we didn't understand them. We just handed them across the table and fell over laughing. The taste was like gentle fruity chalk that melted too fast. But the magic was in the game. Passing the right message to the right person, hiding kiss me in a desk, or sliding loser onto your friend's lunch tray and running away. Which one did you secretly hope to get? Flying saucers felt like secret treats from outer space. To rice paper domes stuck together with rattling sherbet powder inside. Hold one on your tongue and the paper melted slowly, or bite too early and the sherbet shot out in a powdery explosion, making everyone cough and laugh. The crinkle of the paper bag, the snap of a saucer breaking in your teeth, the sherbet fizzing up your nose. Kids held them like tiny UFOs trying to make them fly. Mostly they just fell apart in an awesome fizzy mess. You either loved them or hated them. Parma violets, flowery, perfumed, as divisive as liver and onions at school lunch. Two fans, they were delicate and grown up, like something your grandmother would keep in a fancy glass dish. Two haters, they tasted like soap. But one smell in your back in a bus line or movie theater line, the faint violet smell mixing with pocket fuzz and sugar dust. Even now, just opening the little paper roll can take you straight back. Then came drumstick lollipops, raspberry and milk flavored, that famous pink and white chewy candy. The paper wrapper always stuck to the stick if it got wet, and you'd end up chewing at the end like a beaver. Drumsticks had their own special way to eat them. Lick, chew, twist, bite, repeat. They smacked against your teeth with that dull, chewy thud and pulled at your jaw until it hurt. Did you save yours on the walk home or chomp the whole thing before you'd even crossed the street? If drumsticks were steady and sensible. Wham bars were pure chaos in candy form. Bright-colored slabs covered with sour sherbet crystals that exploded without warning. First bite seemed harmless. Then came the crunch, the crackle, the sudden fizz like fireworks in your teeth. You'd make that sour lemon face while pretending you were totally fine. The wrapper crinkled like thunder, and the sherbet pieces scratched your gums until you had no choice but to keep chewing. Dentists worried. Kids couldn't get enough. Highland toffee was the long haul. Thin caramel strips wrapped in waxy paper that folded until they snapped with a sharp crack. Warm them in your pocket and they bent like an accordion. Jam the whole strip in at once, and you couldn't talk for 10 minutes, jaw working hard, classmates laughing at your muffled sounds. It was the toffee of patience, deep brown sugar chew, stubborn as anything, old-fashioned even back then. And finally, Toffees, a neat little roll that felt almost fancy, individually wrapped cubes in shiny foil, each one softening under your tongue before sticking to your teeth. Milk, toffee, plain, sometimes with a chocolate center. Perfect for sharing on the bus, one passed down the row. Each wrapper dropped in a pile or tucked in a jacket pocket for later, only to find weeks later they'd melted into one rock-hard brick. That was the real joy of penny candy. More than the sugar, it was the ritual, the scrape of scoop against jar, the rustle of the paper bag, the clink of coins on the counter. Counting carefully, trading choices, doing the math out loud. 2 fruit salads, 2 blackjacks, a drumstick, 3 flying saucers. How much is left? It was trading. It was budgeting. It was making deals. And when you left, bag folded at the top, sherbet dust leaking into your pocket, you promised you'd make it last until dinner. But by the time you got home, you had nothing left but a tongue the color of rainbow and a smile you couldn't hide. Penny candy was democracy in sugar form, a handful of coins, a handful of choices. They taught us value, patience, trading, and the small victory of walking home with sherbet on your lips. If penny candy was about quick hits, the hard candy was the long game. These were the ones that rattled in glass jars behind the counter, weighed on metal scales, and poured into paper bags that jingled like treasure. You heard the scrape of the scoop against glass, the tap as the amount was leveled, the clink as candy hit the scale. Your patience was tested before you'd even tasted one. We'll start with the champion of old time, Spangles, wrapped in shiny cellophane squares stacked in neat rolls. Each one bright, hard, and full of attitude. Old English, acid drop, blackcurrant, butterscotch, sharp, tangy, and sometimes brutal. Acid drops especially were the dare of choice. Hold one in your mouth without making a face and you were a playground hero. Crunch too soon and you'd be called weak. When Spangles disappeared in the 80s, it left a gap people still talk about. Were you one of the brave ones who loved the burn, or did you trade yours away at the first chance? Polo fruits were the fun cousin of the plain polo mint. Same famous hole, but brighter colors and cheerful flavors that tasted fun even before you unwrapped them. The foil crinkled, the cardboard tube popped as each candy clicked free. Kids stacked them into towers, wore them as rings, or dared each other to chomp a whole stack at once. Blackcurrant versus orange was the big playground argument. Which side did you pick? Rhubarb and custard candies were another favorite. Half yellow, half pink, sour, and creamy in one. The rhubarb half made your cheeks pucker. The custard half smoothed it over. You either let them melt slowly until the flavors mixed or you bit straight through. The crunch squeaking against your teeth and leaving little pieces that poked your gums. They were bold, they were messy, and they were everywhere. Cola cubes were kings of the counter. Bright red, covered with sugar, hard enough to crack a tooth if you weren't careful. First taste, pure sweetness. Then that unmistakable cola flavor fizzing on your tongue, coating your mouth. Some kids dropped them into lemonade to make their own soda. Others just sucked until their tongues felt raw. Do you remember that buzzing mix of burn and pleasure when your whole mouth felt on fire, but you went back for another anyway? And then there were fizzy cola bottles, not hard candy, but always put in the same paper bags, little gummy candies covered in sour sugar. Sharp enough to make you scrunch your face, addictive enough to pull you back. The plain ones, dull, sugarless, always got left until last. Did you eat them when you were desperate or leave them forgotten at the bottom of the bag? For licorice lovers, the real tests came next. Aniseed Balls were the first challenge. Little red marbles, rock hard, rattling against your teeth as the fiery flavor built up. The game was always the same. Who could last longest without crunching? Some claimed they made it all the way to the tiny white seed at the center. Most of us gave up early, teeth cracking loud, pride hurt, friends laughing. Then came Pontefract cakes, dark circles, soft and chewy, stamped with their famous design. They tasted like history, licorice through and through, the kind of candy your grandparents loved. 2 fans, they were heaven, chewy, comforting, familiar. 2 haters, they were punishment. Did you save them or trade them away? The moment the bag was opened, Butterscotch discs were the gentle ones, golden and shiny, smooth on the tongue, sweet without sting. They melted slowly, coating your mouth in a buttery warmth, never the star of the show, but always welcome. They were the candy your grandma always had wrapped in tissue at the bottom of her purse, handed out on bus rides or during church. The crinkle of paper, the quiet unwrap, the taste of quiet comfort. No list is complete without humbugs. Black and white stripes, peppermint bite outside with a sticky toffee center hidden inside. You sucked until the shell cracked, then chewed through the gooey middle. They freshened your breath and stuck your jaw closed at the same time. The sound of a humbug against your teeth or rolling around your mouth is one of those small memories that never goes away. And finally, Everton Mints. Red and black striped, solid all the way through, bold and strong. One crunch and they shattered like glass. Mint pieces stabbing your gums, clearing your nose in seconds. They rattled in tins, clinked in jacket pockets, and felt properly grown up compared to penny candy. One mint could last a whole bus ride if you were patient. Were you? Or did you crunch halfway and let everyone hear it? That was the power of hard candy. They weren't just sugar, they were time itself. Time in the waiting as the shop owner scooped and weighed. Time in the eating as you tried to last without cracking. Time in the memory, rattling louder now than they ever did in the bag. Playground dares turned them into more than treats. They weren't just candy. They were trophies, challenges, tiny weapons in the war of childhood. So which side were you on? Did you defend Spangles, sneak rhubarb and custards until your tongue was raw, or keep a stash of butterscotch for the bus ride home? Were you brave enough for Aniseed Balls or loyal to the comfort of humbugs? Because these weren't just hard candies. They were contests, conversations, and comfort wrapped in cellophane. Sticky, sharp, perfumed, or soothing, every one still rattles louder in memory than they ever did on a metal scale. And no matter how many plastic packages fill the supermarket shelves today, they'll never match the weight of those glass jars, the scrape of the scoop, and the slow battle between candy and time.